My name is Mary Turner, and I am one of the co-chairs of the Fair Flower Show that is being co-sponsored by the Master Gardeners and the Lexington Council Garden Clubs. What I'm going to show you today is how to condition and groom and transport your individual specimens to the show. By now, you've read the schedule and you know what you have growing in your garden that you're going to enter in the flower show. Now it's time to choose the individual specimens. When you're strolling around your garden looking for something that you want to enter in the show, keep in mind that it will be judged not against all the other entries in the flower show, but against the idea of the perfect specimen, whether it's a rose or a zinnia or a daylily. Every specimen starts out with a score of 100 points, and the judges deduct points for flaws and damage. There's not a lot you can do to add a petal, make it bigger or taller, pinker or bluer, but there are some steps that you can take to make sure that your specimen is shown to its best advantage. Those steps are selection, cutting and conditioning, grooming, staging, and transporting. When making your selection of a specimen, you're going to look for the most perfect specimen that you can find, and it's usually a good idea to select several in case of accidents, something gets broken or bent, or when you're looking at bug holes and bites and mechanical damage. So if we'll look through these, we'll see a lot of marks on them. Now when you bring them in, start looking until you find the one that is the most perfect. When you cut your specimen, make sure that the stem is cut long enough to be in proportion to the bloom. This might be too short. This would probably be too long. But if we cut it right about here, that's just about right in proportion to the size of the bloom. For most specimens, you'll want to place the cut end in room temperature water immediately. And it's usually a good idea to submerge it right up to its neck. You'll put the cut specimens in a cool, dark place for several hours or even overnight, and this will allow them to take up a lot of water and stay fresh and in good condition throughout the show. 5 o'clock in the morning and it's time to get up and start grooming your specimens. Now, you don't really have to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, but if you've got a lot of specimens to enter, you need to give yourself plenty of time. So here's some of the things that you want to do when you're grooming. Choose a container that's appropriate to the size of the bloom. This one's not bad. Something like this would work. You're going to want to cut the stem underwater again, and that will give it plenty of surface water to continue to take up water. You'll want to remove any foliage that would be in the bottle underwater or crushed in the neck of the bottle. You can cut it off or pull it off. Look very carefully for any insect damage or mechanical damage or dust or dirt, and make sure that you get rid of that. Here's a spent bloom. If you cut that off and you're careful, the judges won't even see that it's been removed, and you definitely want to remove it rather than leaving it on. If you see any dead stuff, take that off. You can also use cotton swabs if you have something tucked in down here, a little brush, cotton balls, or just your fingers, and make sure that you groom it so there's nothing on it but the nice pristine blooms. If you look at something and you see insect damage, is it going to look better or worse if we remove that? It's got some damage, but if we take it off, then it's missing a petal or a leaf. So why don't we leave that on? It's not that bad. Now that you have your specimen sitting in the bottle, you want to look at how it's posed. You can use various items to help it look best in the bottle. You can use plastic wrap, or Sahara, which is the dry green foam, and put that in there to make it stand up straight. Or another idea is using celery. And in this case, that celery is probably too big for the bottle, so you break it off a little bit. And it makes a nice prop. And that way, when the judges look at the rose, it can be facing right at them. It stands up nice and proud, and it's probably going to get a better score that was all slumped over and they couldn't see it. Here's a couple of no-nos. Here's a bottle that isn't clean. It's certainly okay to use a plastic bottle, but make sure that you get all of this off of it so that the judges can see the stem. This is another sad little thing. This fern did not get conditioned. It was just cut and put into the bottle, and it demonstrates the absolute importance of conditioning your plant material before you enter it. This is not going to get anything. After all this work, take care that you don't cause any mechanical damage when transporting your entries to the show. One way is to pack them, container and all, in a box with wads of newspaper or packing material to hold them steady. One of the last things to keep in mind is make sure you know the name of your plant when you bring it to enter in the show. You're going to be filling out an entry card, and you need to put the binomial botanical name on it. Not just rose, but what type of rose it is. Not just honeysuckle, but if you know the Latin name for it and that it's a gold flame honeysuckle, that's the information you're going to need to enter on the card. Without that, again, you might not be able to win a prize. And just in closing, flower shows are a lot of fun, so I hope you'll bring some specimens and join us. Thanks.